Hello guys and welcome back to the Behind the Dugouts. And well, Chelsea have just been handing out beatdowns left, right and centre, haven't they? We had the Gittens news, the Here We Go drop just before the Benfica game, batting away Bayern Munich for his signature. We then went out and slapped up Benfica, beating them 4-1 to move into the next round of the Club World Cup. And then, if you thought we were finished there, Sunday, they decided to drop the Joao Pedro Here We Go, beating away Newcastle like they're nothing. It's been a crazy few days. We've got a lot to unpack and we're going to break it all down here. Starting with the Bynoe-Gittens news. This is what Fabrizio had to say. Breaking, Jamie Bynoe-Gittens to Chelsea. Here we go. Deal agreed club to club with Borussia Dortmund. Contract until June 2032. He always wanted Chelsea. Understand the medical will take place tonight for Jamie. BVB accepted the last bid, as Fabrice Hawkins reports. I'm super happy with this signing. Bynoe-Gittens is a player that's going to fit the system. He is a Maresca style of player. He's a 1v1, attacking winger. He's going to take on his fullback. He's played under Maresca before, so there's no time to adjust to the style of play. He will know what is expected of him. And again, how Maresca's system works is to bring players inside to isolate the wingers with their fullbacks to allow them to take them on, either to cut inside or to get across the way into the box for your striker or the oncoming midfielders. So it's a player that Maresca knows well. It's a player that knows Maresca's system. He is a good 1v1 winger. He's going to take on his player. He's got a good finish on him. He's probably out of all the wingers that we will have and currently have the most suited for Maresca's system. So I expect him to come in really and hit the ground running. I know there's the risk. He's young, but he's had quite a bit of experience. Obviously playing in the UK for City in the under-23s, making the move to Dortmund. He's had experience out there. He's had a few years out there, Champions League football. You're not used so much last season, but that's not because of his ability, just down to the manager. The new manager come in, didn't fancy him, and that's mainly the reason why he's been wanting the move. Chelsea have probably been looking at him for quite a while with the links to Joe Shields. So it was a move that I expected to always happen. It was just going to be a matter of time. As we know, Dortmund are really tough negotiators. They were holding out for the price and it looks like they've got it in the end. But other than that, I am happy with Gittens. I think it is a profile that we need. It is a type of winger that we need. And we've been crying it out. I mean, we're still using Cole Palmer and things to fill out on the left currently. And in the Benfica game, Cucurella pretty much was our left winger in that game. So it is something that we need. So I am happy that he's come in. I'm not too sure, but I think because he's played for Dortmund in the Club World Cup, he won't be able to play with us. I think he might be cup tied. But then there's been things floating around that he is, that we are looking to get him to join up with the squad. And it might just be to join up to train rather than to actually play. But you never know. It might come out that maybe he can register to play in the quarters in the next game against Palmeiras. But we'll see on that. Moving into the next player. Again, this one, strange. We had a few things come out saying, Chelsea are intensifying their approach for Joao Pedro, because obviously the Gittens one's now over the line, so now they're going to move their attention to Joao Pedro. They want to get him over the line. About 5 hours passed. The next minute, Fabrizio's dropping this. Breaking, Joao Pedro to Chelsea. Here we go. Agreement done, club to club, for a fee in excess of 50 million. Joao will travel on Tuesday for a medical test and then contract signing ready for the FIFA Club World Cup. And that's just mental, isn't it? Coming out, saying that we've intensified, the approaches for Joao Pedro, and then suddenly dropping the here we go 5 hours later. It was very similar to how the Pedro Neto deal worked, although there was already a little bit of noise regarding Joao Pedro, and there were links sort of the whole time before the Club World Cup. There was a few mentions, but nothing really concrete, just that we were inquiring. And when it comes to Brighton players, Chelsea are always sniffing around. We know that now. We've done it for the last 3 years, pinching all their players, their coaches. So it's expected when they do have a good player that pops up, we are going to be in and around that conversation. But obviously the Pedro Neto one was a bit different, as in we didn't really hear anything and then suddenly it was done. But it's the speed of how quickly this deal moved. 1 minute, nothing. Next minute, intensified talks. Next minute, signing. And that is how we should operate. It's scary. Newcastle are sitting there sucking their thumbs at the moment because they can't believe what's just happened. I think they had 2 bids rejected for Brighton, and I want to say one of them was around 50 million. So they were definitely in the conversation, but from what I understand, Joao Pedro always wanted Chelsea, so I don't think there was any way that even if Newcastle bid the same amount that he was going to move. I think when Chelsea entered that conversation for his signature, it was over. He was always going to come to us as long as we could agree on a price. And that's what's happened. And now we've got another versatile player that can play left wing, 10, striker, obviously plays predominantly striker for Brighton, but he is versatile, and we've noticed now with the signings that the club is making for Maresca, it's all about versatility, having players that can play multiple different positions, and he is a player of that. He's got the Brazilian side, so he's got that flair, he's going to be aggressive, and we're starting to pick up a few more aggressive players. I mean, I remember mentioning sort of before the Club World Cup that some of our players just have that sort of softer side to them. They don't have that bit of bite about them. I remember mentioning it when Delap signed, that he was going to bring that bit of aggression, that bit of bite about him. And we're now slowly adding more and more players in with a little bit of, a little bit of aggression, a little bit of a fiery nature. And I think that is quite important for a young, inexperienced team, to have a few players in there that are going to fight to the death for each other, and it's going to breed through the squad. And Joao Pedro, for all his fiery nature, technically he is very, very good. He's good on the ball. He's one of the best players in terms of progressive take-ons in the league, especially as a forward, where we look at Jackson as someone that likes to take on players, likes to run with the ball because of his days playing as a winger. Joao Pedro is another player that loves to do this and will happily take on someone 1v1 and carry the ball, but he's got a lot more technical control with the ball, so it's not very often you see a misplaced touch or his ball flying forward because he's tried to dribble with it too quickly and his feet can't keep the same pace as his brain, which we've seen a few times with Jackson. So this is a very, very smart move. I think there are a lot of clubs that would definitely have wanted his signature, Newcastle being one of them. Yeah, sorry about that one. So I'm happy we've got this one over the line just to add to our attack. And as Fabrizio mentioned in there, he's going to come do his medical in Brazil, I believe, then make the flight over to America to join up with the Club World Cup. So he could potentially be in the squad for the quarterfinals against Palmeiras. Obviously, Brighton not in the Club World Cup, so he's not cup tied, so he can be registered. I think the closing date for the registering new players is the 3rd. So as long as he's registered before then, he can then join up with the squad. Whether he will play, he may get a few minutes if it's going well, but I don't think he's just going to get thrown in, mainly because there's other players that would deserve the spot, and he wouldn't be around the squad enough to get the style of football and embed himself into the team yet. So unless maybe we're absolutely battering Palmeiras, he may get a few minutes, but I don't expect him to play against Palmeiras, to be honest. When we get through, I think he may potentially play a few minutes in the semis, but I could be wrong, and Maresca might throw him in that game and use him anyway, but we just have to wait and see. But I am super excited to have him in the squad, and he's definitely going to elevate this team. Still on the young side as well, 23, but he's got that Premier League experience, so he is used to the league, so he's not going to have any issues adapting. It's just getting to know the teammates and getting to know the style of play, which I think he will do just fine with. Now, obviously, regarding the 2 players mentioned, and Gittens and Joao Pedro, I am going to be doing a player breakdown video on both of those to see how they fit in the squad and look into it a bit more depth. So just keep your eye out for those ones in the coming days. Now, if you thought I was finished there, no. It has been reported that we're not stopping there, that there will be more signings. There's been talks of potentially another attacker, a goalkeeper, and a centre-back. So Chelsea are still looking to dip into that market to strengthen the squad. This is what Fabrizio has had to say. We need to keep an eye on Chelsea for the potential one more attacking signing. I wouldn't be surprised if they had one more. They're looking at options, and let's see what happens with some potential outgoings. And that's regarding the attacking position. Now, one player that has been mentioned, and it has been going on for quite a few weeks, is Mohamed Kudus from West Ham. Another versatile attacking option that can play left, right, in the 10, up front, has done it for West Ham. Another Premier League experienced player that had an okay-ish season with West Ham last year. Probably could have done a bit better, but the players West Ham had, where they sort of ended up in the table, not just down to him. I think with the better players around him, he will shine. And he is a player that I do quite like. I think he would add quite a lot to the team. So do have the option to sign him. I know there was mentions of potentially doing a sort of swap deal, giving Dewsbury Hall probably some player and cash that would to get him over the line. I think his release clause is about 85 or 87 million. I'm not too sure if West Ham are interested in Dewsbury Hall. There has been a few mentions, but not much of recent times. But it is a good player, and I do think Kudus would work really well in this system too. Now, whether it will happen, we'll just have to wait and see in the coming days and weeks. I don't think they necessarily will be pushing that, especially based on the fact that so far there's been no real outgoings. You know, I think we've had a few academy players go, but that's about it. And we've got a lot on the books that do need to be moved on before the club are even thinking about bringing in any more signings, especially in attacking options. Because if you look at the wings, so on the right side, we've got Noni, we've got Pedro, and we've got Esteval coming in. Up front, Liam Delap, Nicholas Jackson, Joao Pedro. On the left-hand side, you've got Tyreek George, Jamie Gittens, as well as Joao Pedro that could play out on the left. We've had Noni play out on the left. And then you've got Palmer in a 10. Joao Pedro can play in the 10. Esteval can play in the 10. So in the attacking line, we have got loads of players for all those positions that can all rotate and move around and interchange with each other to, keep it fresh, to change the attack if Maresca feels that he needs to change things up. So I don't think, unless we see some outgoings, and this potentially could spell the end of a few players with Joao Pedro coming in, might be that they might look to shift on Jackson. They could look to shift on Noni as well. If one of those players do go, I do think the club would look to bring in another attacker, but I don't think they're going to do that until a player has been sold. Now, if you are looking for a detailed description of the players that are on the list to be sold and that Chelsea are looking to move on, my good friend and fellow content creator, the Stamford Sink, has a great video where he takes a look at that list of the 10 players that Chelsea are looking to move on, with a mystery player that they didn't mention. He's got some great insight on that, and I've had some really good debates with him regarding the Chelsea squad and what we think and how the club should move forward in terms of signings and things like that. So go over there, I'll drop his channel link in the description below. Go show him some love. A few other positions that we are looking to strengthen in, one being the goalkeeper. Obviously there we had the opportunity to sign Mike Maignan. Didn't go through. According to most reports, that deal is dead. We had the recent news of maybe we might be pushing for Emi Martinez, but that was quickly shot down by Ben Jacobs. So I'm not too sure. I do think the club are interested in signing a goalkeeper, but I think it's going to be very price dependent. They are not going to shell out a lot of money, considering they have done so far, and we have a lot of goalkeepers on the books already. So it'll be interesting to see how that one develops. Another position that they're saying they're looking at is the centre-back role. Now, one player that we have actually been looking at, we played against on Saturday, and that's Antonio Silva for Benfica, the young 21-year-old Portuguese centre-back. Now, it's a weird one. He's young, but he's not young in experience. He's been around for quite a while. He's been in the Benfica first team for a long time. I think he made his debut for the Portugal national side in 2022. So he's actually been around for a very long time for his young age, and he's got quite a lot of experience. And I thought he did really well against us. I thought he marshalled that back line. Obviously, the added help with Otamendi, the experienced centre-back next to him, has helped him develop at a rapid rate. And he looks very, very assured. His ball-playing ability looks really, really good. It's definitely a player that I would be quite happy to bring in, considering the right-side centre-back is one of those positions that is very up for grabs. You saw the other night where Levi Colwill was shifted out to the right side and Tosin and Chalobah were left on the bench. So I don't think it's a position that has been locked down by a player. The only one would be the left centre-back role, which Levi Colwill is destined to have. So I do think we will be looking at a centre-back. Again, price is going to be right, but I also think we're going to have to shift a few centre-backs out of the club before we can go in and purchase another one. I'm not really sure what's happening with Fofana. I haven't really heard anything. I think he was back from injury, but there hasn't really been any news on him. So there was a few things floating around that Marseille might be interested in him. But other than that, nothing. It's sort of just gone really cold. And I think it's a player that we probably should look to shift on, because he's just not... I don't think he's ever going to get over his injuries, as sad as it is. And we spent a lot of money on him and we've not got the return back. So if we can, you know, move on, recuperate some of that money back and then go and buy Antonio Silva, I'd be quite happy with that. I think he would do really, really well for us. A position that we 100% need to recruit for, and I don't understand why we haven't done anything yet, is the left-back role. We had the rumours of Hato. It looked like it was progressing well, and then it went dead. Nothing, haven't heard anything about it for weeks. You get the odd thing, oh, we're still interested, but there's just nothing, and I don't understand. If we go into next season with no cover for Cucurella, the guy's going to burn out and we are going to suffer dramatically for it, because we've got no one that can do what he can do, even just to come in to provide him some rest and give him some backup. You know, we don't want to be shifting Malo Gusto out there. We don't want to be putting Reece James out there. We need a left-sided player to come in. I think Hato would be perfect for it. Young, he'll learn off Cucurella. He can shift into the left centre-back role if it's desperately needed. He is a versatile option. He's a young option. We know the clubs love the young option, so he is perfect for the system, for the club, and for the backup for Cucurella. I'm very surprised that this is not a deal that they are pushing to do as fast as possible. But we'll see. That may change now that they've got Joao Pedro, Gittens. They might move to the back line and start recruiting in those positions next. Let me know your thoughts on what position you think the club should target immediately. I personally think we're having a good transfer window so far with the signing of Liam Delap, Gittens, and obviously now Joao Pedro. If we can then bring in a goalkeeper like Samanian and maybe Emi Martinez, and a centre-back and a left-back cover with the added spicy addition of Mohamed Kudus, I think that's it. I think we've done every bit of business that we need to do in the transfer window. I know we've been crying out to get experienced players. It doesn't look like the club is going to go down that route. However, they are bringing in experienced Premier League proven players, and they, you know, with the addition of like the Gittens, and if we do get, you know, Antonio Silva, I think that is a great young centre-back with a lot of potential, but very, very good, that's had experience in playing at the top level already. He's won everything that he can win in Portugal. And then if you can add that with the signing of a Maignan or an Emi Martinez that's going to bring leadership and a lot more years of experience, I would be super, super happy with this transfer window. And again, shifting some of the deadwood that just are not fit for the system and not playing well enough to be at the top level of Chelsea. But look, that's all from me, guys. And if you are enjoying the content and you are enjoying the videos, please hit that like button, drop a comment below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.